students, welcome back to my channel Logic Flow. Well, in today's video we'll discuss about how to prepare or how to do smart preparation for your computer science exam with the help of model paper. As we all know that we have 3 model papers. But then the question is like which model paper to refer, or how to understand and analyze this model paper. So here is the solution for you. So we need to concentrate on 3 things. One is the question paper pattern. The second, the levels of questions. And the third, the weightage of the chapters. That is the total marks for each and every chapter. So let us understand the question paper pattern first, and then the levels of questions, followed with the weightage, that is the total marks allotted for each and every chapter. And then we will see, or we'll compare this with the 3 model papers. So let's get started. So let us understand the question paper pattern first. So as we all know, we have 4 parts in the question paper. Part A, B, C and D. Part A will have 2 mains where you will have the MCQ questions, 15 MCQ questions, followed with second main 5 questions of fill in the blanks. So totally it is of 20 marks. Then in part B, that is third main, you will have 7 questions, out of which you need to answer 4, and it will be for 2 marks. So you need to answer 4 questions out of 7. Earlier we used to have 8 questions. Now 1 question has been reduced. So you will have 7 questions, out of which you need to answer 4. So it is of 8 marks. 4 into 2. Then part C, fourth main, again you need to answer 4 questions out of 7 questions. Earlier it was 8 questions, now it is 7, reduced to 7, and it will be of 3 marks. So you need to answer 4 questions out of 7, so it is 4 into 3, 12. Then in part D, again you will have 2 mains, 5th main and 6th main. So 5th main is of 5 marks question. See, 3rd main which is 2 marks, 4th main which is 3 marks, and 5th main which is part D which is 5 marks. Again you will have 7 questions, out of which you need to answer any 4, which is of 5 marks. So it is 4 into 5, 20. Then the 6th main, it is HOTS question, that is higher order thinking questions, wherein which you need to answer 2 questions, only 2 questions out of 3. You will have 3 questions, out of which you need to answer any 2. So how those HOTS questions will be there, then 2 marks, 3 marks, 5 marks, we need to understand that with the model paper. So totally it is 25 equal to 10. So it is 20, 8, 12, 20, 10, totally 70 marks. This is how the question paper pattern will be. Hope you all know this. So we had a fast glance on this. Now it's time to understand the levels of questions. As I said, you will have MCQ, you will have the fill in the blanks, you will have MCQ, you will have fill in the blanks, you will have 2 marks questions, 3 marks questions, 5 marks, again 5 marks which is of HOTS question. How the questions appears? So you have different levels of questions. That is, remember level questions, understand level questions, application level questions, and HOTS, high order thinking questions. So there will be some percentage of that, and this is like the percentage that varies from one model paper to another paper, but a slight change. Say in model paper 1 it may be 36%, in model paper 2 it may be 35%, in model paper 3 it may be 37%. Slight variation in the percentage. And understand level questions will be 29%, application level will be 16%, and HOTS, that is high order thinking questions, will be 18%. So totally 100%. So you can just analyze that majority of remember level and understand level will be at most 65 to 67%. Remaining 16 to 15 or 18% you will have application and HOTS. So in general I can say 60% moderate questions and 40% difficult level questions. So this is how the questions will be set in your question paper. 60% it is moderate level questions, and remaining 40% it will be like 35 to 40%, it will be like difficult level questions. So this is what the levels of questions that appears in your question paper. And then we have the weightage, the most important. So different chapters having different weightage. So here we need to do the smart learning. In this video we will just see the weightage, and we are going to compare this weightage with 3 model papers. How to choose the chapters? We will be understanding that in the next video. So let us understand the weightage here. Typical configuration of computer, it is totally 4 marks, and how the question arises means you will have one MCQ. So 1 means 1 question of MCQ and 1 3 marks question. So 1 plus 3. So it is 4. So it is 1 marks MCQ, 3 marks question. You will have 1 3 marks question. From Boolean algebra you will have again 1 MCQ, 1 2 marks question and 1 5 marks question, which is from HOTS. We usually get K-map here. Logic gates, again 1 MCQ and 2 marks question. So in Boolean algebra, when I say we have included HOTS, means here 1 plus 2 plus 5, it is 8. So Boolean algebra is having weightage. Logic gates, again we have 1 MCQ and 2 marks question, it is 3 marks. Data structures, it is 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 5. You can just understand here you will have 1 MCQ, 1 3 marks question and 2 5 marks question. So again the most weightage chapter. So you got here. So here we have this weightage chapter 8. So let us differentiate that with different color. Then we have data structure, again the highest weightage. Then coming to OOPS concept, we have only 1 5 marks question. Then classes and objects, you have 1 plus 5, again it is 1 MCQ and 1 5 marks question. So it is 6. Then function overloading, again 1 MCQ and 1 5 marks question. So again it is 6. Constructors and destructors, 1 MCQ, 1 2 marks question and 1 5 marks question. So it is 8. Then inheritance, you have 1 plus 5. So it is 1 MCQ and 1 5 marks question. So it is 6. From pointers, we have 1 plus 3. So 1 MCQ and 1 3 marks question. So it is 4. Data file handling. So you don't have any MCQ from this chapter. So data file handling, you don't have any MCQ. So here we can do some smart planning. How to do that smart planning? We'll discuss that in the next video. So it is 2 plus 3. So it is 1 2 marks question. The other one is 3 marks question. So it is 5 marks. Database concepts, you have 1 MCQ and this 5 that is coming in between, it is fill in the blanks. Fill in the blanks, 5 fill in the blanks from database only. So it is 1 plus 5 and 1 2 marks question and 1 3 marks question. Earlier we had 5 marks question also. But now you don't have 5 marks question. You have 5 fill in the blanks, 1 MCQ, 2 marks question and 3 marks question. So it is 1 plus 5 plus 2 plus 3, it is totally 11 marks. Again it is having a highest weightage. We'll come back to this later. So how we can read this. SQL commands, you have 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 5. So you have 1 MCQ, 2 marks question, you have 2 marks question. So it is 4. So you will find 2 questions from 2 marks and 1 5 marks, which is the HOTS question, that is higher order thinking. And even here also the classes and objects, it is higher order thinking questions only, 5 marks question. Here this is, so I can just mark that in different color. So this is the HOTS question. where you can distinguish from the color here. This is Hart's question, and again from Boolean algebra it is Hart's question. Then coming to networking concepts, you have two MCQs. You look at here, 1 plus 1. So you have two MCQs and one 5 marks question. So it is 7 marks. And this SQL commands is totally 10. Internet and open source concepts, again now one MCQ and one 3 marks question. Totally 4 marks. Web designing, you have one MCQ and 3 marks question. Now it's time to understand the model paper with this weightage. So let's see that now. So look at here, we have the blueprint of the first model paper. Just observe the marks column of each and every chapter. So it is like typical configuration 4, Boolean algebra 8 and so on. You can just observe this. So look at this blueprint of model paper 2, model question paper 2. Again the same marks. You can just observe here. Again typical configuration 4, Boolean algebra 8, logic gates 3, data structures 14. So you can just observe the same weightage. Say up to web designing, so it is 4. Just observe the same weightage. So here we go with the blueprint of the third model paper. Just observe the total marks of each and every chapter. Typical configuration 4, Boolean algebra 8, and it goes on up to web designing, it is 4. So when we observe these total marks from all the 3 model papers, the total marks remains the same. In model paper 1 the same total marks, in model paper 2, in model paper 3, all the 3 model papers have the same weightage. This is what you should know. All the 3 model papers having the same weightage, then what is the difference? The difference is in the levels of the question. So as mentioned earlier, you have to understand the levels of question. So remember level, understand level, application level, HOTS. So these levels of question changes. Let me clarify that. In typical configuration, we have one MCQ. So we all know it is of totally 4 marks. So you have one MCQ which is from remember, and you have a 3 marks question which is from understand. The same way, Boolean algebra, we have one MCQ from understand and you have 2 marks question from application level, and you have the 5 marks question from HOTS, high order thinking. So these levels changes you can observe here. If I go to model paper 2 or model paper 1, the levels only changes. So for example, let me talk about the constructor. You have one MCQ from remember, and you have one 2 marks question from understand and one 5 marks question from application. So these levels may change. So in model paper 2 I may get the MCQ from understand. In model paper 3 I may get the MCQ again from remember, like this, and 2 marks question from remember or 2 marks question from application. Only these levels changes. So how to understand these levels? I have created 3 model papers, and how these questions appears from these 3 model papers. Let's see now. So here we go with the first model paper. I have mentioned the chapter names and the levels of the questions that is appearing from each and every chapter. So as I said, part A you will have MCQ, 15 MCQ and 5 fill in the blanks, right? So here the first question, the first MCQ will be from typical configuration, which is in remember level from model paper 1. Boolean algebra, again remember level question. Logic gates, it is HOTS question. Data structure, again HOTS question, that is high order thinking question. Classes and objects, again high order thinking questions. Function overloading, it is remember. Constructor and destructor, it is understand level question. See, what is this remember or understand? See, remember in the sense like it may be some questions which is relating to some expansions or something that what you need to remember. And understand means it is something related to some definition part. You need to understand the definition, like that. Remember and understand. But application is the application level questions, that is to the level of more complex questions, and HOTS means high order thinking questions. So like this, the different levels of questions will be asked under different chapters. So inheritance, it is understand. So well, I'm going to share this PDF to you all so that you can understand what level of questions it appears. So database, it is again remember SQL understand question. So understand means some commands they may give. Network, again remember network, you have two MCQ. So one is remember question, one is application level questions. Like for example, they may ask you the questions on identifying the devices, the device that is going to connect two different networks. So it may be the application level questions where you need to apply your knowledge there. So it is gateway. So like that. So different choices they'll give: bridge, then router, gateway, like that. Then internet and open source chapter, you have remember level questions, and web designing remember. So like this, you will have different levels of questions from every chapter. Right, so all these chapters that what you are seeing here, it is for MCQ. Typical Boolean algebra, logic gates, data structures, classes and objects, function overloading, constructor and destructor, then inheritance, pointers, database, SQL, networking concepts, two questions from networking concepts, internet and open source, and web designing. Then coming to the fill in the blanks, all the questions are from database concepts only. So you have two remember level questions, three remember level questions, and two understand level questions. Coming to the part B, you have Boolean algebra application level questions. So you may get some questions like prove the expression algebraically. Then logic gates, remember level questions means they may ask you to write the truth table of any gates or realization of gates. Constructor and destructor, again remember level questions, they may ask you to write the rules of constructor or rules of destructor. Then you may get the questions like write the rules of default constructor, some remembering level questions. Then data file handling understand level questions, they may ask about some pointers or file modes. Then you have database questions, understand level questions, some complex level understand level questions, 2 marks means they may ask you about some networking devices or some communication modes or switching techniques like that. Then SQL, you have two questions from 2 marks, where one is from remember level, the other one is understand. You may get some data types question like what is data type in SQL, the different types of data types. Understand means they may ask you about commands like that. Then you have 3 marks questions, again typical understand level questions about some like different types of connectors or IO ports like that. Then you have data structure, 3 marks question understand, pointers, application, data file handling remember, database understand, internet open source apply, web designing apply. Just observe here, when I talk about this 2 marks and 3 marks, you can decide the chapters which you can leave. So how to decide these chapters, how to understand these chapters, do a smart way of selecting the chapters, that we will be discussing in the next video. Then you have the 5 marks question, understand level question from data structure. So you have two questions. See, you have data structures, you have a 3 marks question as well as two 5 marks question. One is understand, the other one is application. Then object oriented programming, you have the remember questions. Then function overloading, again remember they may ask you to write the characteristics of friend function or function overloading like that. Constructor and destructor, again remember like this. So these levels changes. Inheritance, remember, network, understand, like this. And talking about this 5 marks question from 6th main, which is 3 HOTS question. One is Boolean algebra, usually K-map. Classes and objects, they may ask you to write a program on class and objects. Then SQL, which is queries. So this is about the model paper 1. So just have a glance on this. They can understand. So typically you have remember. If I just go to the model paper 2, let's see what happens. So here we go with the model paper 2. Just observe. Typical configuration, again remember, Boolean algebra again remember, so no changes. Logic gates HOTS, data structure HOTS, classes and objects again HOTS. Function overloading in the model paper 1 you had remember level question, but in model paper 2 you have HOTS level of question. Constructor and destructor again understand, inheritance understand only. Pointers you had HOTS, the same thing. Database, you had remember level question in model paper 1, and here you have understand level question. Then again you have SQL, which is understand, the same thing. Network, remember, same thing. Two questions. Here in the previous model paper 1, we had the application level questions. Here you have understand level question. Internet open source and web designing, the same thing, no changes. And talking about the database, you had 3 remember and 2 understand. Here also the same thing, no changes. Then coming to the 2 marks question, in the model paper 1, Boolean algebra application, here also application. Logic gates, there you had remember level, here it is application level. Constructor destructor, there you had in model paper 1, it was remember, and here it is understand. Data file handling, same only understand. Database concepts, in the previous you had understand level, here you have remember level. SQL remains the same. So like this, the levels of question changes from one model paper to another model paper. Coming to part C, typical, no change, same only. Data structure, in the previous you had understand, here also understand. Then pointers, application, same. Data file handling, remember. Database, understand. Internet and open source, in the previous you had application, here it is remember. And here web designing, in the previous you had application, here it is understand. So like this, the levels of question changes, weightage remains the same. This you need to make a note of it. Weightage of chapter remains the same, right? And look at this, there is one more thing that what I need to tell here. Talking about this part B, you have 2 questions of SQL. Then you have one Boolean algebra and one logic gates, right? So you can decide how you can choose for 2 marks. We will discuss about this in detail in the next video. Then talking about the 4 marks question, so slight changes. Then we have data structure, in the previous you had understand, here it is remember. The remaining thing, no changes, apply, remember only. Constructor and destructor, previously it was remember, now it is application. See, this is change. And this part D, 6th main, no changes. Boolean algebra, class and objects, SQL, all the 3 are from HOTS. So let's get into model paper 3. So here comes model paper 3. So you can just observe all the levels changes. Say Boolean algebra, previously it was something like remember or understand. So here, or application, here it is understand. Function overloading, see again it is application, it is not HOTS question. Previously it was HOTS question. So like this, all the levels changes. So there is no difference in the weightage. So this you need to understand. In the next video, I am going to discuss how to select the chapters for scoring out of 8. Smart way of learning the content of the computer science syllabus, or how to choose the chapters for scoring 70 out of 70. So that's all for today's video. So in the next video, till then, take care. Bye bye.